Hey there! Thanks so much for tuning in and welcome to my channel. My name is Alyssa Matesic and I am a book editor with a background in the traditional publishing industry. I worked at two of the big five publishing houses as well as a top literary agency, and on my channel I offer advice to writers who are hoping to have their books published one day. I primarily work on adult novels, so that is where I am coming from with most of my tips. However, if you're working on a nonfiction book or a children's book, hopefully some of this information is helpful to you as well. Today, I'm going to walk you through the top 7 things I feel that you need if you are hoping to become a traditionally published author. Some of these things will be more tangible and some of them will be a bit more abstract and speak to the state of mind that you will need going into this process. But before we get into the list, let's talk about what I mean when I say traditionally published. At least to me, traditional publishing refers to the big five publishing houses, which are all based in New York City and are responsible for most of what you see in Barnes & Noble. They're what we call the trade books. The big five publishing houses are Penguin Random House, Simon & Schuster, Macmillan, HarperCollins, and Hachette. Now, each of these houses are then subdivided into a number of imprints, which are various divisions that are responsible for publishing specific types of books. The imprint names are what you will see as an icon on the spine of the book, and you'll also see the name on the copyright page of the book. To many writers that I work with, being published by a big five house seems like an impossible feat, and they have no idea how even to get started. What I am really passionate about is demystifying the process of getting traditionally published so that more writers feel that they are able to pursue this process. So now let's go through the list of what you need if you are looking to become a traditionally published author. And if you want to start with an overview of how the process works for getting a book traditionally published, check out my other video on how it works step by step. I'm going to start off the list with the most tangible requirement for getting your book traditionally published. The first and biggest thing that you will need is a literary agent. A literary agent is basically your partner in publishing. They are the ones who will represent your book to the editors at imprints at the big five publishing houses. If the editor likes what they see and read, then they will make an offer to publish your book through your literary agent, and your agent will receive a commission. A literary agent is basically a must if you are looking to publish through one of the big five houses. These houses do not accept what we call unsolicited manuscripts, which means that the writer is reaching directly out to the editor at the publishing house. The reason that editors don't accept pitches or submissions directly from writers is because they need the agent to act as their gatekeeper and also their curator. If they were to accept submissions from the general public, their inboxes would be completely overflowing and it would be virtually impossible to sort out the publishable novels from all of the rest. So your literary agent will ensure that your book is only going out to the editors who will truly be interested in your project and who will serve as a great partner for you. On top of that, your agent will help you make sure that your novel is in tip-top shape before it goes out to those editors to increase the chances that one of them will make an offer on your book. Think of it this way. It's always easier to sell a well-kept and renovated home than one that still needs extensive work, and the former will also be worth more. So how do you go about getting a literary agent? Sometimes it can seem really elusive. This happens through what we call a query letter, which is essentially a pitch that you send to the agents to see if they're interested in representing you and your book. To learn more about what makes a successful query letter, you can check out my video on the top 5 elements that I feel are essential to a strong query letter that will attract agents. There's a lot more I could say about the process of finding a literary agent, but I want to move on to the next essential thing that you'll need if you're looking to become a traditionally published author. And that is perseverance. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It is very difficult to land a literary agent. Not only does your writing have to be top-notch, but your book project has to interest that specific agent enough for them to feel passionately about taking you on as a client. It can be an extremely personal and matchmaking process that's almost honestly like dating. And the truth of the matter is that agents are completely flooded with submissions from writers every single day, and reviewing those submissions comes on top of their responsibilities for their existing clients. So unfortunately, it is possible that your query may just get buried in the avalanche. That's why it is so important to stay positive and persevere. If you get rejected or don't hear back from an agent, don't give up. That point is worth repeating. Don't give up. It's likely that you're going to strike out a few times, maybe dozens of times, or even 100 times before you find that perfect agent match. But the only way to make it happen is to push through it. My next point is probably pretty obvious, but the third thing you definitely need if you want to become a traditionally published author is really strong writing skills. Literary agents, editors at publishing houses, and publishers themselves all have extremely high standards and only want to publish the absolute best books. That means that if your writing isn't up to par, unfortunately, you are unlikely to become a traditionally published author. Remember that writing skills go way beyond spelling and grammar. You need to be skilled with descriptions, able to craft really authentic feeling characters, and know how to build a sense of narrative propulsion that compels readers to keep turning the pages. In addition to my publishing advice videos, I have a series of videos with writing tips focused on how to write stronger novels. So that could be a helpful place for you to go if you are looking to brush up on your writing skills. My fourth point is another intangible one. You need patience to be traditionally published. It often takes a long time to find that right literary agent match. We are talking at least several months, if not a year or 2 or 3 years. Then, once you find a literary agent, it will still take some time before your agent is ready to submit your manuscript to editors. More likely than not, your agent will want you to make some revisions to your manuscript, possibly even several rounds of revision. So that will take some time for you to implement. Then, once the manuscript is ready to go on submission, as we say, you will have to wait for the editor to read the manuscript and get back to your agent with a decision. And that could take anywhere between a week to a few months. So what happens when an editor accepts your book for publication? Unfortunately, there is still some more waiting involved. The big 5 publishing houses plan their book releases at least 1 to 2 years in advance. That means a novel bought by an editor in 2021 likely wouldn't be published until 2022 or 2023 at the very earliest. So all in, from finding your agent to finally seeing your finished book on the shelves, you're likely looking at a matter of years. That is why patience is so critical to have during this process. The fifth thing that you need if you want to be a traditionally published author is another pretty obvious one, a completed manuscript. Now, if you're a nonfiction writer, you might be able to find an agent without a completed manuscript. But I am going to talk about how the process works for novels. It is unlikely for you to sign with an agent with only a partial manuscript. This is because the agent wants to see the full work and how you intend for the full novel to unfold. I've certainly run into cases where a writer's first half of the novel is completely compelling and engaging, but then the novel kind of goes off the rails in the second half. So that's why it's important for the agent to have a full picture of your novel before they're going to offer you representation and offer to work with you on your book. My sixth must-have is a collaborative attitude. As I've described, the publishing process will not only involve you collaborating with your agent, but also collaborating with the editor at the publishing house. Both of these people are going to be your partners in publishing, and they're going to have their own ideas and suggestions for how to shape your book so it is the best that it can possibly be. You really have to have the mindset that they are there to help you and position you for success when your book goes into the market. They really do have your best interests in mind. Sometimes writers can be afraid of the editor changing their manuscript too much, or they're afraid of losing their creative autonomy throughout the publishing process. If this is the case for you, remember this. The agent and the editor chose to work on your book because they were passionate about it. They love your story so much that they want to do everything they can to get it out into the world. So listen to them, and they in turn will definitely promise to listen to you. The last thing that anyone who wants to become traditionally published needs is a compelling story. Literary agents and editors have to be extremely picky with the books that they choose to work on. That's because they are taking a big financial risk in pursuing your book. They don't know how many copies it will sell before they put it out into the market, and they just don't know how readers are really going to react. This means that they have to start thinking about how your book will fit into the market before they even agree to work with you. So if you have a really well-written story, but it really doesn't bring anything new to the genre and seems to repeat tropes that have already been used, it's less likely that they would want to work with you because that market is already too saturated with that type of story. What they are looking for is a story that brings something new to the table. That doesn't mean that every part of your novel has to be completely unique. You might still employ a structure that you've seen in other books. For instance, the structure of having a police officer investigating a crime. But between the way the story is told, or the characters, or a major plot twist, something should set your novel aside from everything else that's already on the shelves. This will become one of its key selling points, so it's a good idea to start thinking about how your novel is different from other similar books right now. That said, don't stress too much about it. If you're struggling to identify your novel's differentiating factor, it can be a good idea to work with a trusted beta reader or a professional editor. They can bring that critical third-party eye to the story and help you see things in the manuscript that maybe you're too close to it to see for yourself. So those are my top 7 must-haves for anyone who is looking to become a traditionally published author at a Big 5 publishing house. I hope this helped clarify the process of publishing for you if that's something that you're hoping to pursue. Let me know in the comments below where you are at in the publishing process, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have. If you're looking for more advice on how to go about getting published, or if you're just looking for ways to strengthen your manuscript, check out my channel and all of my videos there. While you're there, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you will get notified every time one of my new weekly videos goes live. Thanks so much for watching, and happy writing!